Very interesting bits in that to talk about with Ash Hunt now, a cybersecurity and threat intelligence specialist in our central London studio. Thanks for your time, Ash. Just react to what you heard there. He said he was very surprised at how unprofessional this virus was.
Yeah, it is surprising considering that it was an NSA exploit, but in comparison to other forms of cyber attacks, ransomware isn't typically the most sophisticated. But of course, and indeed it can be removed from systems quite easily, but of course the damage is that once the files have been encrypted, they won't give back the key, and that can be quite difficult to counteract.
We've also heard from NHS Digital in the last 10 minutes or so. They've said that there's been a lot of speculation around Windows XP being used by NHS organisations and being open to attack. But they said that within the NHS, only around 4.7% use that system. So are we perhaps tarring the NHS slightly with that figure?
Well, the thing with institutions such as the NHS, they're often cumbersome and unwieldy. I mean, the reality is the NHS is under a lot of pressure, and its first priority will always be the health and welfare of its patients, which is quite right and proper. But the reality is that we can't divorce the fact that this new dimension, cyber, must be afforded the same measure of importance, because today it was ransomware, but tomorrow it could be turning off dialysis machines in hospitals and putting the mortality of patients at risk. And more worryingly is that a lot of Whitehall and government infrastructure and critical national infrastructure across our country runs these systems. 4.6% may just be enough to get in. And these legacy systems have to be updated if we can hope to have any kind of level of decent security.
You warned the Ministry of Defence a few years ago that an attack like this was coming. Are you convinced they did anything about it?
Yeah, 3 years ago, I spoke at the Defence Opinion Leaders Conference and briefed inside the Ministry of Defence that an incident like this would occur in the near future, and it has. I always hope more can be done. I'm enthused with the Prime Minister's approach so far, but I'm sure in the wake of this attack, there will be a renewed effort to increase the budget and develop more coherent strategies to ensure this sort of thing can't happen against our national infrastructure.
And just very quickly, does the government and GCHQ attract the best IT minds, or are the best IT minds still the hackers?
Well, there is a lot of talk that adversaries are always one step ahead, but the UK has a wealth of talent and is developing it with some very, very good initiatives at the moment. I know GCHQ are running summer camps, and the academic institutions, such as universities, that are now tied with GCHQ, are producing some really great minds for the future. And of course, that is the case in institutions across the world. We just have to keep ensuring that we're trying our best to lead them.